Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. For once I'm having a cold drink rather than a cup of tea. But I thought I couldn't be bothered to put more water in the kettle and boil it and all that kind of thing. Probably shouldn't have too much caffeine at night anyway, but it's probably not much better for me. But anyway, welcome to part 3, third and penultimate part of Black Sundays for Black History Month. This is with the theme or tonight actually technically being of support, encouragement, help, empowerment, and I suppose support for success, most importantly, however you define success. So I hope you enjoy it. And one of the things I was thinking of, and once again, as I often do, if you see my other videos, you'll probably notice I do try and take too much on or plan things at the last minute or forget things or whatever. I'll blame dyslexia, but and I was planning to do for Friday the 13th, or for Friday the 13th itself, but and also for Halloween. But I know it's only technically, I suppose you could say, a day away now because it's already nearly midnight here in the UK at least. Obviously on the 29th of October, but so it's a day or two max away. But I wish I was more remembered to share this idea again. But anyway, I would love for both members of the Black and stroke or dyslexic communities to make or create scary, creepy masks, Halloween masks, costumes, displays, videos, stories, games, or anything scary and creepy, just for a bit of fun for Halloween. I know some religious folk out there would, like especially Christians and probably Muslims as well, so would say Halloween is pagan or even satanic, some would say, but I suppose they're just killjoys. I think it's just a bit of fun. So it'd be cool to see that creativity from both Black and stroke or dyslexic people, as it's also Black History Month and Dyslexia Awareness Month. So I'd love to see any people who are either Black and stroke or dyslexic sharing any links for any of your creativity, like masks, costumes, displays, let's say, or anything creepy or scary. If you have any sort of links of that sort of stuff, please share them on this video or these videos, or any of my videos, especially this one, on Facebook and on YouTube. And also, I wish I was more organised. I hope to get round to promoting that idea in my dyslexia groups on Facebook, so that maybe people can share. I hope people would share their creations. So it could be something that could help both dyslexic and stroke or Black people to make more money as well, like selling to shops or stuff like that. If not, it's just at least a bit of fun. But I hope I can get a few people to do so. So if you're interested in that idea, say if you make or create anything, if you're very creative with your hands. I'm not creative with my hands. These are only good for like writing or typing. That's about it. Yeah, so I'm a bit allergic to hard work. But anyway, I'm going to crack on. So these are ideas number 21 to 30. With my memory being the way it is at the moment, I keep forgetting. I was thinking, I'm sure. I hope I haven't done part 2 and then done it twice, forgetting. But anyway, ideas number 21 to 30. But again, if you can create any sort of scary or creepy masks, costumes, or stories, or even games, or anything creepy or scary, even reactions to videos or things like that, please share the links with me on Facebook and stroke or YouTube, members of the Black and stroke or dyslexic community especially. And here goes. So number 21, I would love to read about any success stories. I nearly forgot then, which would be quite ironic for 21 again. I would love to see any success stories from history, from the Black British community or Black people around the world, like what Black people have achieved in terms of things like inventions, art, poetry, any sort of successes, startups, SMEs, even banks, or all sorts of things that have been created by members of the Black community. And once again, I hope I haven't left it too late, but any sort of scary things, just remind people of that idea. Scary or creepy stuff, I hope people will share that sort of thing. Anything sort of creative from the Black and stroke or dyslexic community respectively. Anywho, moving on, number 22, also success in the future. How can Black people in Britain and all around the world could become more successful? I know, as I keep mentioning, I think that working together, networking with other members of the black community would really help. But I hope in the future there'll be a lot of success for the black British community and black people around the world. And number 23, also like how can supporters, allies, and whatnot, political parties, councils, even spiritual or religious organisations, I'll probably soon have slag them off, calling them killjoys in my intro. But on a serious note, like what can they do to and companies and whatnot? What can they do to support the black community, respectively? Maybe even for their PR or whatnot. And I think it'd be cool if they develop that investment portfolio for members of the black British community, and maybe it could be global. Again, I know I mentioned this before, but where they have a leader amongst the black community, someone like Aliko Dangote or someone like that who can reinvest, or maybe even an African country like Central Africa, or an entrepreneur from one of those countries. I think that'd be quite interesting because they've been through quite a lot, so it would help to empower them as well. Or someone from South Africa, for instance, maybe even POC generally. How can they? What if there was an investment portfolio, let's say, for black British people or black people around the world? I'll stick to the black empowerment thing because it's Black History Month specifically. But in the future, maybe I'd expand it to other POC working together. But how could they reinvest that and look at ways companies could help them to reinvest, especially those that are run by black investors themselves, and how can they learn to invest and invest together, and look at ways they can save money on their shopping, on their bills generally, mortgage, or any costs that they have, so they save money as much as possible and also make money as much as possible as well. I'd love to have any ideas on that, and maybe like suggestions they could have, like loopholes or all possible ways to save money and struggle or make money. I think that'd be interesting. Number 24, I hope to do so globally. So I hope they'll network together globally. I know I've mentioned Britain quite a lot because it's Black History Month here, whereas, as I know, I mentioned this quite a few times, but in America it's in February. But it'll be interesting to see what they could learn from each other. Maybe they could be empowered twice, well, for 2 months of the year. But anywho, moving on, number 25. Once again, I know it's another idea I've mentioned before, but I'd love to see African countries on the subject of Africa hosting events for republics and that kind of thing. Number 26, also African countries hosting anti-imperial events to bring people together from around the world who are anti-imperialists, who could go to African countries and support those countries with their ideas and also their tourism, bring in money to those countries and that kind of thing. I'd love to empower Central Africa symbolically because it's like, for one thing, it's like central, so it could be a strategic point to unite Africa together. And another thing is that it quite a lot of civil wars, so it would be interesting if they could unite their country and at the same time unite the continent of Africa. I'd love to see Central Africa host as many of the 54 leaders as possible and delegates from African countries, so that they can be hopefully empowered as much as possible, uniting Africa together, especially through Central Africa as well, as I say, symbolically, as it's a strategic location, like being central, so it's between north and south. I hope that makes sense. But I'd love to hear what black people think about anti-imperialism and whether you think the black community should be reparated, including even Britain itself. I think if you look at history before the minimum wage came in, like when there was the days of slavery and colonialism, things like that, which sort of went hand in glove. A lot of black people did work as slaves where they were just earning enough money to survive, like subsistence living or whatever you call it. So there was no minimum wage, let alone living wage. And so I think there is an argument that if they were paid the minimum wage, they would have got a lot more money. And also, I think it would be interesting if it could be looked into how much the slaves were paid compared to the minimum wage. It would be a lot less, so just enough to survive on. So what if it was backdated, so they were paid, like the black community was paid for all the work that they did before the minimum wage, if you know what I mean. And so let's say on average it was worked out they earned £2 or £3 an hour, and the minimum wage was like £5 an hour. And they worked, and there was like 1 million people who were brought in as slaves, and between them they would have worked X amount of years. So um, it'd be interesting to see if it could be backdated and they were paid for all that unpaid or underpaid labour. And I think it would work out to quite a few billion even. Um, but I'd love to hear what people think about that. Hopefully people won't be too harsh. I know some people are very disparaging of reparation, but I think it is like work which people did which was underpaid. I wouldn't say unpaid necessarily, but it was underpaid almost certainly. So I mean, I suppose they didn't live as long, so the amount of work they did, I suppose, I mean, it would be hard to work that out, but let's assume they would have been paid £2 or £3, maybe £4 an hour more if they were paid the minimum wage. Then I think it'd be cool if they got that £2 or £3 an hour times however many there were, say a million, and times the amount of time they would have had to work throughout their life, probably from a quite young age, although they probably would have died a lot younger back then, as most people would have back then. But especially people who are in servitude. But yeah, so I think there is some sort of case for reparation. I don't know how it could be worked out, I'll be honest, but maybe there could be things like I've talked before about, like tax exemptions and things like that, and extra funding from government and also councils and investment from businesses, banks, and all that kind of thing. Apparently, a lot of banks benefit from slavery as well. Even people like David Cameron, who was the Prime Minister, apparently his family benefited from slavery. So I think it would be interesting to see some sort of way, although I don't like force, so I don't know how it could be done, but it would be interesting. It's certainly worth debating in a reasonable manner without people like insulting each other or whatever. I think it's certainly worth something where people could debate in a amicable way, perhaps, like try and listen to each other's side of the argument, put forward the fors and againsts. So yeah, like I think probably contradicting myself here, quite an ironic point, but sometimes you can have like an egg timer or an alarm on your phone which says you can talk for 2 or 3 minutes and then let the other person speak and things like that. With that being said, having said that, moving on, number 27, I think those who support the community should be honoured and acknowledged in all possible ways. I'd love to know people's ideas on that. I think, like I've talked before about like a Hall of Fame, and a Walk of Fame, Hall of Fame, and Wall of Fame, or something like that, or all sorts of things like that, which could be ideas implemented for those who invest in the black community, and also, as I say, supporters and allies and whatnot, and also there could be like acknowledgements on websites, things like that. Number 28, I hope that these ideas somehow work out and people will share ideas. And sometimes it does feel like things won't work out, like I'm banging my head against the wall, or well, maybe not quite as painful as that, but or just talking to myself, which I probably am. But maybe in the future people will say, these were quite a lot better ideas than you thought. But time will tell, I suppose. Number 29, I hope for my fellow mutts, as I call us, to support the black community as much as we can. And number 30, I think it'll be interesting if people got sugar mamas or sugar daddies. But anyway, I thought I'd finish off with a controversial and silly idea. But anyway, I'm out. Peace and love.